Goswami on The Debate.
I've covered so many scams, I've broken so many scams, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the scam of scams of Anil Ambani, and there are growing calls for his arrest. Why should a man who has done this allegedly not be arrested? There are some people who are asking, why should he be arrested? Ladies and gentlemen, why should he not be arrested? In a country where people are put in jail for stealing 500 rupees, why should Anil Ambani remain a free man? The Anil Ambani scam, a rotten scam. Ladies and gentlemen, a man whose companies were drowning in red flags, given such a long rope by the system. Was he not given a long rope by the system? Why should we blame Anil Ambani alone? Tonight, the Republic will be laying bare the minutes of the lenders' meetings from way back in 2020, which totally expose Anil Ambani. But they also expose not just Anil Ambani, but the ecosystem around him, the rotten ecosystem, how warnings were ignored, audits were diluted, and accountability was deferred, all while thousands of crores of rupees were being siphoned off in plain sight. Who is responsible for this scam? Not just Anil Ambani, but also the forensic auditors who had already confirmed fund diversion. We know the pattern was visible, the shell company is traceable, and yet not a single lender was declared a fraud. Instead, a panel of former judges and top legal officers conveniently opined that there was no wrongdoing which existed. The question is simple: was this negligence or deliberate protection for the powerful? Ladies and gentlemen, I have 8 questions tonight. 8 questions. 1. Why did the banks ignore the audit red flags? Forensic audit had clearly flagged fund diversion, circular transaction, and loans dispersed before sanction. Why did none of the lenders declare fraud? Despite acknowledging, quote, diversion of group companies was evident, unquote, in the minutes of the January 2020 meeting. As I am asking these questions, it is also very important for you to ask, should the so-called business newspapers of this country not be answerable to the people of India? What about the business journalists? Are they not embarrassed tonight? They were presenting Anil Ambani as some kind of a comeback man. Shame on them. Ladies and gentlemen, why were shell companies given crores in loans? How were companies with no employees, negative net worth, and common directors such as RPL Solar Power, Summit, Cheminfra, and WorldCom Solutions granted crores in corporate loans by Reliance Home Finance without due diligence or KYC verification? Where were the auditors and the raters? Fund diversion was going on, circular trading, intra-group transactions were going on. These were mounted between 2017 to 2019. What were the auditors and the rating agencies doing? Why was there no downgrade, adverse remark, or fund use, end use audit emerging until now? Viewers, there was a whole system around Anil Ambani. It's the stench of fraud and the misuse, ladies and gentlemen, of authority. Who protected Anil Ambani from a fraud tag? Despite forensic auditors confirming fund diversion and irregular lending patterns as early as 2020, Reliance Home Finance was not declared fraud for years. Which officials, institutions, or legal panels shielded Anil Ambani's group from that crucial tag, and why? How did public money land in China and the UK is another question I have asked. It was not just a violation of covenants, but this was a major red flag. Cross-border fund transfers were going on. The money was landing in China and the UK. I know there is a powerful circle of people who support Anil Ambani. To them, I would say tonight, think of what you have done. You are as responsible as this man yourself, ladies and gentlemen. I am not one who's going to spare any of these people tonight. Remember, viewers, there is the corporate media, and then there is Republic. The corporate media does not even ask questions to Air India after the crash. It's only Republic which will ask these questions. Viewers, Why were loans disbursed before sanction date? Ask any banker if this can happen. In the minutes of the meeting in 2020, which I have, it was stated that the auditor reported instances where loans were disbursed by RHFURCFL prior to the sanction date. This was reported by the auditor. Difference between disbursement date and sanction date varied from 1 to 28 days. Why did the regulators stay silent for years? What are the regulators of this country worth? Nobody likes to ask these questions. Only Arnab will ask questions of the Supreme Court and the regulators. What were the regulators doing? Did the regulators not know of the malpractice, or was there a nudge, nudge, wink, wink? Finally, ladies and gentlemen, small farmers, middle class, loan app borrowers have been hounded to suicide for 12,000 rupee, 4 lakh rupee loans. This billionaire has an ecosystem of powerful regulators, bankers, raters, auditors, and politicians supporting him. It's the whole system which is rotten. And I'm saying so having been the same person who exposed people like him in many scams in 2010 to 2012. Leniency from the financial system, leniency from application of the rules of the financial system is also wrong, and the government must know the people are watching. The government of the day must know the people are watching. Justice must not just be seen to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, it must be done. If there is an attempt at making it seem that the government is being tough on Anil Ambani, then I'm sorry, it's not working. If the government, the agencies believe Anil Ambani has done this, then the central government must tell us why they are not arresting Anil Ambani. The central government must tell the people of India why they are not arresting Anil Ambani. Would the central government behave the same way with everybody else? And if an exception is being made, why so? The nation wants to know. Let's debate.
Tonight, Republic has accessed explosive documents that blow the lid off the Anil Ambani loan scam. Minutes of lenders' meetings, forensic audit findings, and internal notes from all the way back in 2020. The documents reveal how, despite a forensic audit confirming fund diversions, banks refused to declare the accounts as fraud. Fresh loans were routed through shell companies and potentially indirectly linked entities, as the auditors called them. The forensic auditor identified circular transactions, loans to shell entities with no net worth, and even disbursements before sanction dates. Contact numbers were fake, financials missing, certificates absent, yet the money kept flowing. And now, years later, the Enforcement Directorate has moved in and attached over 42 properties worth Rs 7,500 crore across Mumbai, Delhi, Noida, Hyderabad and Andhra Pradesh. The ED says these are proceeds of crime and loans were funneled through 35 banks, masked as legitimate and rerouted through a web of fake entities. Tonight, Republic asks, with forensic audits, fund diversions and now asset seizures, will Anil Ambani finally face arrest?
Now we have papers with us tonight. We come armed with papers which actually expose a lot of what's been going on inside. Shravan is sharing some details. I have the papers with me. I'm sorry to the respective banks whose papers I'm putting on. Bank of Baroda papers. Ladies and gentlemen, minutes of meeting. Signatures are all with us, ladies and gentlemen. All signatures. And we can verify these papers. Minutes of meetings, Bank of Baroda, lenders meeting held on 16 January 2020. We have the details, graphics will be on the screen. And as you tell us more about this scam of Anil Ambani, Shravan, you can try and explain it as many layman terms as possible. Producers will run the graphics. What are these minutes of these meetings? Which meeting? And how is this a smoking gun? Shravan.
Well, the broad argument that has been made by Anil Ambani is that he has no decision-making power to begin with, and the fact that he has not been part of the board for almost 3.5 years. Now, in this particular document number 1, which is the minutes of the meeting that took place on 16th of January, it becomes abundantly clear that he makes a presentation before the lenders. This was at a time when the company was actually going through what Anil Ambani himself said, a crisis that was perpetuated because of the IL&FS service. And that is the reason why they're saying that there was not much help that was being provided coming in from the financial community, as he points it across. Now, importantly, there are 7 legal opinions that were taken by Anil Ambani's companies. And he said that a forensic audit clearly shows that there was no embezzlement, but the reality is different. Document number 2 will basically prove the fact that there were diversion of funds. To simplify this, 2 companies, RHFL and the other company which was basically in the dock, was the 2 very companies where the money was being diverted from. In fact, RHFL being one such company where Anil Ambani himself has signed, that is the credit appraisal memorandum, in which Anil Ambani has clearly signed it off and the diversions have taken place. It seems that the money that came into it was basically diverted to companies with weak financials. And every loan that was essentially given, starting from 2017, 2019, when we are looking at a first tranche of loans coming in roughly about 2,900 crore rupees, and thereafter further loans being taken from banks like Bank of Baroda and the State Bank of India, was basically being rerouted to pay off the old loans. So here comes the picture. The picture is this, that there was an attempt that was being made to funnel it into other companies, shell companies. These were Surat-based shell companies that was being used to send the money to Dubai. There's an international Hawala racket that has basically emerged, and this is what the Enforcement Directorate is saying. Enforcement Directorate in its investigation and in the provisional attachment order makes a clear mention of Hawala transactions that have actually taken place. This is something that Anil Ambani and the companies linked to Anil Ambani have completely failed to explain, because all this while they've said that Anil Ambani has no role to play.
Well, I mean, these papers tell a completely different story. Ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome my guest this evening, and I'm going to keep going back to these questions, I wish to go into the details of the papers that we have. We have minutes of a lenders meeting held on 16 January 2020, in which page 2 says GT, I presume Grant Thornton, informed that they had identified a list of companies designated as PILE, potentially indirectly linked entities, unquote, in their report, which featured in various transactions that were studied. GT reported instances where a PILE ceased to be a related party just before a disbursement was made to the PILE by RHFL/RCFL, which means it was very much there, it was verified, the auditors had put out a red flag. Now, I'm not naming, but let me say this, that a former Chief Justice of India was part of the group which says, no, this is okay, there was no fraud. A former Chief Justice of India, I'm not naming, said, no, it's okay, as per the minutes of the meeting, it was not fraud. A former Chief Justice of India. All this was happening secretly. 2020. I don't think Anil Ambani could have got away without support from the system. Who'd like to open the debate tonight? The Anil Ambani scam part 2. We have Santosh Mehrotra, Subrashta and Sriram Subramaniam on one side. Sriram is the founder and MD of InGovern Research Services. Kishore Subramaniam, financial analyst. Sushil Kedia, market expert, founder Kedianomics. Ved Jain of Ved Jain and Associates, former Vice President ASSOCHAM. And Dr. M. Satya Kumar, Supreme Court advocate. GT further reported anomalies observed during their audit. Anil Ambani himself admitted, my company is in a crisis. He said, at the start of the presentation, of which minutes only I have, Anil Ambani stated that the lenders were well aware of the challenges being faced by the financial sector post the IL&FS crisis. He stated that RHFL and RCFL were a victim of the circumstances and he had faced collateral damage. Poor Anil Ambani, this sounds like Vijay Mallya reborn. I am but a victim of my sector, he says. And on being labelled a fraud, the lenders deliberated amongst themselves that they need not take into account opinions presented by the Reliance Group and they can take an independent call on red flag and declaration of fraud. Mr. Deepak Mishra, former Chief Justice of India, Supreme Court, opined that under the RBI directions it does not constitute fraud. Justice Khare, former Chief Justice, Supreme Court of India, opined that the forensic report does not suggest fraud and lenders should consider a resolution plan. Mr. Rajiv, former Chief Vigilance Commission, opined that no instances of fraud, diversion, malafide attempts to destroy evidence were found and banks may consider removing red flag status. So all the legal opinions were that it's okay, nothing wrong. And here we are, this is Republic. 5 years later, we're all screaming, saying, what happened? But all their eminences at that point of time said it's okay. Is the Modi government, Sushil, Kishore? This looks like a rerun, or this looks like a, hello, this looks like a rerun of the Mallya Nirav Modi episode, an old script with a new twist. A billionaire abuses his powers to open the chambers of our banking sector that remain shut for the common people, the Aam Aadmi, and crush small business owners and the middle class.
Yeah,
Protects Anil Ambani.
Let me start.
Yes, now I provoked you. Now I provoked you enough, have I?
Arnab,
Yeah.
at the very outset, let me say humbly, I disagree with the fire you are spewing. You are rephrasing the fire prevalent all around.
Graphics.
You are rephrasing the fire prevalent all around. You have definitely laid out a very balanced ground that everybody was involved, without which it could not have happened. So I am going to, as an opener, keep it brief. In Bangla, there is a saying, Ati Bhakti Chorer Nishan. So suddenly this jingoism about fraud ho gaya, fraud ho gaya, fraud ho gaya.
I've said fraud. I've said these people thought it was not fraud then. ED is saying it's fraud now. Who do we believe?
5 साल से सब लोग सो रहा था.
What is the...
और अभी suddenly चिल्ला रहा है,
Hello. Subrashta is opening the debate tonight on Anil Ambani. Should he be arrested?
Quotation,
Yes.
Ati Bhakti Chorer Nishan.
Arnab, let us be very clear about this episode. This is not about business failure alone. Every businessman has the right to fail. This is about how one fails and at whose cost.
Everyone on.
That's the question that we
Louder for both.
Let me kindly complete. If they are going to jingoism, public का पैसा है, भाई 50 लाख शेयर होल्डर रिलायंस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और रिलायंस पावर में भी है. 50,000 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप घट के 25,000 करोड़ हो गया. आपने 4,000 5,000 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी अटैच करी, 25,000 करोड़ का पब्लिक का नुकसान हो गया. कम से कम पब्लिक के नाम पे ड्रामा मत करो. If you are hiding something in your closet and you want to blame somebody by saying it's a fraud, you know, you by
No, I'll tell you one thing, and now listen to me, dear Sushil. You know this saying, too big to fail, Subrashta. I'll tell you why it applies here. Something very interesting happens because, you know, Republic is a very bad channel. We get the papers, we don't talk through our hat. In page number 8 of this report, Mr. Anil Ambani says, almost like a warning, he's saying, listen, you declare fraud, there's going to be a crisis in the capital markets of India. You declare fraud on me, he's basically saying, Shriram, and I'm going to quote it, you declare fraud on me, don't forget to think about what will happen to India's capital markets. You'll all have exposure. There'll be a systemic crisis. Anil Ambani warns of a systemic crisis if the system dares to act against him. Should I
not
quote?
Arnab against him. Acting in the way the system is acting.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Sushil, let the others come.
If you start labeling,
one minute.
onto the rooftops and
Subrashta
saying
is completing now. Debate is
Arnab,
opening.
Arnab, I heard the gentleman
One
say,
minute.
let us not talk about public money. Let us not talk about public. The problem is, sir, that in this country, public money is not abstract. It is pension of a school teacher, savings of a shopkeeper, hard-earned deposits of a taxi driver. This is the money that we are talking about. And you say, do not talk about that? When that money is lent to big corporate, it carries a certain degree of trust. It is the trust which says that the borrower will act responsibly, that the system will protect the saver. It is a trust that we are running an economy and it is not being run only for the powerful. This case that has emerged, it is basically going to erode all that trust. And let us be fair, the courts will decide guilt or innocence. Of course, they will. Due process is again a right, it must be protected. But the principle at stake, Arnab, is much higher than any one industrialist. In that very same family, we have a story of two industrialists. I don't want to get into the details of what Mukesh Bhai is doing and what Anil Bhai is doing. The problem is that we are a nation where a small farmer fights for a 50,000 rupee loan, where a student has to break all kinds of EMIs that are running in the family to go for higher education. So when thousands of crores of public money is at stake, I don't think I will take any conversation from any panelist to say let us not talk about that.
Without
it has to be talked about. It has to be talked about with all.
It has to be talked about. Now, Anil Ambani.
For that one man,
Anil Ambani.
It is about a system.
No.
It is about a system that is shielding you.
Yeah.
And questions must be asked. No promoter,
One minute.
however powerful they
I wish to humbly ask a more difficult question tonight, which other channels will not ask. Sushil, with permission, please. I wish to ask, watch my words, Sushil. Mr. Deepak Mishra, former Chief Justice of India, who has headed the country's Supreme Court, must answer tonight to Republic and to the people of this Republic whether it is true that he put out a legal opinion that under RBI directions, the actions of Anil Ambani do not constitute fraud. I also wish to ask Justice Khare, Honorable former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, who opined that the forensic report does not suggest fraud, and also went on to surprisingly say in favor of Anil Ambani that the lenders should consider the resolution plan. Which means you lost money, you're in a mess. Now, please don't mind, but I would humbly, most humbly ask their lordships, their former chief justices, that what domain expertise do they have? Financial sector. To say that the resolution plan is justifiable. These are tough questions. Nobody asked, how does a legal expert know the details of a financial resolution plan and its effectiveness? You see, Dr. Mehrotra, nobody asks these questions in our country. Nobody does. And they won't ask it. The public's money is going to go down the drain. But there are 7 experts who have been quoted here for their legal opinions. I would just ask whether any of them has been paid by Anil Ambani, and whether it is appropriate for them to accept any form of honorarium if they have from Anil Ambani. These are only questions, because upon their opinions a judgment is made. And Anil Ambani then goes and says, look here, I've got the support of all these powerful people. Dr. Mehrotra, I have the minutes. I'm not making it up. I can trust. Believe me, I have the minutes. I have the minutes with me. This is getting very serious, Mr. Mehrotra. It's a system which has been behind Anil Ambani, not him alone.
I think you put your finger on it, that it has been the system which has been behind Mr. Ambani. Because if the system had not been behind Mr. Ambani, there wouldn't be a situation where way back in 2015, when a deal was being struck by the government of India with Dassault in France to buy 36 aircraft, suddenly changing the nature of the contract. It was this same Mr. Ambani who was given an offset contract to provide parts. Was he in a position to do that at that point?
Everyone.
This is the same Mr. Anil Ambani, who since then has been obviously charged with fraud by the Bank of India, by the State Bank of India, by the Bank of Baroda, by the IDBI Bank. So when you asked the right question earlier, Arnab, where was the regulator, which is the RBI? The RBI is the regulator of these public sector banks. Where was the regulator? So, I mean, who owns the regulator? You and I know who owns the regulator. You and I know who signed the contract with Mr. Macron on Rafale. So your questions are very legitimate ones. And the private sector is clearly implicated as well, because you asked who were the auditors? Where were the auditors? It was PwC until 2019, until they gave up on ADAG, because they found that there were too many irregularities which they can't explain. And then another auditor came along by the name apparently of a certain Mr. Pathak and Associates. So you're asking all the right questions. I think many of the answers are actually available in the public domain. So you may want to ask...
Should he be arrested now? I mean, we will never know the truth. We'll keep debating this. The government will use this, speak about it. Then things will move on. Bihar elections will be over. Everything over. Khel khatam. You know, the thing is, after all of this, it's going to be a damn big tragedy, Sriram. If Anil Ambani sends another official to be arrested and gets away and luxuriates in his bungalow,
If anything, I would think that the lessons from Vijay Mallya have not been learned.
Exactly.
There was a lookout notice for Mr. Vijay Mallya after he ran away. And this fraud or the diversion of funds happened in the period 2014 to 2020, which is much after Vijay Mallya's case. So there were many instances, lessons were not learned at banks, especially Yes Bank, which is one of the main conduits for the circular rotation of funds by Anil Ambani group companies, has to be faulted. Secondly, as you said, the judicial system and the investigative system has also been very slow. We are at the end of 2025, and the time frame dates back to 2020, if anything. SBI took its time to declare the account as fraud, took almost 3-4 years. It went to the courts, and as you say, the courts also have taken their time. Why are the lawyers, especially Chief Justice, ex-Chief Justices, etc., opining that these cases are not fraud, when the banks themselves have said that there was diversion of funds to group companies? So from that perspective, I think the lessons, the regulatory agencies need to act fast.
Justice Khare and Deepak Mishra, Justice Deepak Mishra support Anil Ambani at that time. The nation wants to know. The nation must know. Ladies and gentlemen, as I come to Shravan, I now want to share something very shocking. What appears to me to be an attempt at blackmailing the whole system. Please listen carefully, viewers, and decide for yourself. Viewers, the question tonight can be put on a graphic around his face, circle it, and it can be put out there whether Anil Ambani should be arrested. Because remember, viewers, when you're with me, there is public pressure on the whole system, the government, the ecosystem, the circular ecosystem, the big shots. If you're not with me, remember they'll get away. And remember, viewers, the only ones who exposed this kind of fraud in 2010 to 2012 was yours truly. And the only ones talking today is yours truly. We're not talking about the kind of garbage that Rahul Gandhi spoke about once again, so spend 1 hour discussing Rahul Gandhi's garbage talk. I am asking tonight to look at page number 8, Shravan, the shocking page, where I would like to quote and then tell you what happened. Anil Ambani says, however, if the lenders decide to go ahead and declare the accounts as fraud, they should be sensitized to the consequences that will impact the whole group as a whole. In other words, you try and go after a bit of us. Remember, we're going to sink together, Shravan, he's saying. He's saying, if I fall, you fall. If I'm in trouble, you're in trouble. If I go to jail, you go to jail. If I'm a fraud, you're a fraud. That's the effective layman argument Anil Ambani makes. Going and saying, therefore, that on declaration of fraud, and you can complete this sentence here if you have the hard copy with you. Do you have the hard copy with you, Shravan? Or shall I read it?
I have the copy.
Yeah, can you read that part? Page number 8 on what the threat that Anil Ambani makes. Should he be declared, should his actions be declared as fraud?
Well, page number 8 is where he first talks about the opinions, 7 opinions that he has put out. And
After
then
that,
he also throws it open to the lenders. And here the lenders are here saying, inquiring regarding the end use of the funds to PLI companies as part of wholesale exposure. He confirmed that the funds were 100% utilized for repayment. Then he goes on to basically say that there have been internal deliberations among the lenders. The lenders
no, not that part. There's a more dangerous part. Shravan, I just want to pause you for a minute. I want to hold this up. I want the people of the country to be really shocked at what goes on in the financial system. Anil Ambani then puts, Kishore, a whole list of exposure that he has. He's not hiding. You see this table out here. This is Anil Ambani's table. He says, and he ends with a number here, some 86,000 crore rupees. Can you zoom in further? He then says, listen, if I'm going to be in trouble, there's 86,000 crores of your money that I've put into trouble. So he basically is saying, I'm not a normal lender. I'm not a person taking a loan for a house or a car. I'm Anil Ambani. I've taken a lot of your money. You declare me a fraud, you're in big trouble yourself. Then he goes on to say, he says, on declaration of fraud, 100% provisioning would be required for RHFL and RCFL exposure of the 11,200 crore and 9,953 crore respectively. Declaration of fraud, Kishore, by lenders further may trigger a systemic crisis, Kishore on screen, and collateral damage to India's capital markets. It would also majorly impact 75 lakh retail shareholders. He's blackmailing the system, which was the larger shareholder family, and the additional impact about 20,000 bondholders of RHFL. So he's saying, listen, you have the guts to put me in trouble? The whole India's share markets, capital markets are going to be in trouble. That's the argument he puts.
Yeah, Arnab, let me first, good evening to all my panelists. Let me first tell you that in 2008, when the Satyam scam erupted, the auditors were PwC again. What has happened? Tell me one auditor or one bureaucrat.
That's not the question. That's not the question. Was Anil Ambani trying to blackmail the system? Answer what he said here. If something happens against me, the whole system is going to be in trouble.
Okay, Arnab, listen to my answer. The whole
No, 1 minute.
Arnab, it's not blackmail.
Please let me complete
What is it? Whoa.
The whole system is going to be in trouble is a threat which should have been handled then. Why are we doing a media trial today?
Forget then and now, yaar. Forget then and now. I've got the paper now. I'm not answerable for the government.
Yeah, you are not answerable. You are asking the right question.
Subrashta, he's saying, why didn't you catch him then?
Yeah, 1 second. So it is.
But I've caught him now.
So if he is being caught now, are you going to say that just because he was not caught, then he should be allowed to go scot-free?
No, the point, that's not the point.
No. If 1 minute. Suppose Subrashta takes a 1 crore rupee loan from a bank to make a house.
Okay.
But instead buys a Porsche and tells the bank, I can't give the money.
Okay.
Will legal action be taken against her?
100%.
100%. But if this man takes 86,000 crores, he can go and say, listen, you dare to take action against me, you're going to lose your jobs yourself. Yo.
Arnab,
So
what
rich
are we
people have
discussing?
one rule in this country.
No, the merits of the
There
case are
is
not being
a
discussed.
clear evidence
Viewers,
of
what is going on in our
accountability catching up.
Yeah.
There is a clear evidence of accountability catching up. And when public institutions act against powerful promoters, the old playbook of influence and pressure stops working. We need to understand this and ask the right questions. My problem is not with the system, Arnab, right now. My problem is with people like with the gentleman who is, who's been pitted against me on your television screen. Why should we not ask the question? Why should the timeline be an issue?
Hold on. Let me rebut. No, just because there is a title saying defense Anil Ambani, don't think I'm his lawyer. You can't put a blame right on the national television.
Kishore, why are you getting worked up?
Lawyer, I'm not defending. So don't tell me that the gentleman against me. I have not supported Anil Ambani. So don't point a finger without knowing anything. Yeah. So let me not get personal. Do not get personal. I am saying it's a systemic corruption.
You are the one who is. You have, sir. Did you not raise the question of why ask the question now?
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
The question can be asked today, tomorrow. It should have been asked yesterday. Was not asked yesterday. But does that mean that we should not?
No, why is it not a legitimate
today?
question?
It's simple.
No, I am asking a question about the system. You're talking about me. Why is it not a legitimate question?
No, we're not talking about you.
What is the system doing then?
No, we're not talking about you.
So no. Please, let's not.
The question is.
I did not ask a question about you. I'm just saying.
Open the lines. Put the grid on the bottom. Open the line. Let the people participate in the program today.
As I said, this money
Could
is
use
not
that grid.
Anil Ambani's personal property.
I'm just asking. Take this graphic off. I'm saying something. I am only asking tonight. Do you feel angry watching this? If you're watching this at home. If you have someone in your family who's taken a loan and you're watching this at home, I think we have Shriram speaking. Can we cut to him, producers? Be a little quick in the reactions on the left-hand side. Thank you very much. More speed from the production team. Yes, Shriram.
Personal enrichment, and banks have tagged as fraud. That's where I think the regulatory system and courts and the regulators like ED, etc. should act post-haste. If there is business failure, if there is no personal enrichment, that's a different matter altogether. And there could be impact on other stakeholders like employees, investors, etc. But this is not a question of business failure. This is a question of personal enrichment by routing funds out of the legitimate companies to even foreign holdings and diverting funds. And that's where I think the banks have tagged them as fraud, these accounts as fraud. Secondly, that's where the regulatory agencies and the courts need to act post-haste, including arresting key executives, including probably Anil Ambani, because if he is signatory to many of the documents and he was in the know of these fraudulent transactions, then that...
The lenders decided not to act. Satya. The fact is the lenders ended the meeting with the decision not to act. I have only two things to say. Anil Ambani knew, the lenders knew, everybody knew. Now everybody is pretending nobody knew. At that time, everybody knew. Which means also, Satya, the government knew. These are public sector banks. The government knew, the central government knew, the Modi government knew. Satya, please unmute yourself.
Arnab, I think we are presuming they know. Arnab, when lenders
why would we not know? A consortium.
Mechanism.
1 minute. Satya, a consortium of public sector banks are the lenders. The public sector banks are the lenders. This is not ANZ Greenlays. These are public sector banks headed by a consortium of the State Bank of India. Don't tell me they did not know.
Arnab, if they knew,
What is if they knew? I have their names and signatures with me.
It's a presumption that we are doing. My lord,
there is no presumption. I have, you know how many signatures I have? You want me to give the names? I have got everybody with me.
Whether auditors have flagged it.
The auditors have flagged it. The lenders knew. Anil Ambani made a case, came with 7 legal advisors, including 2 retired chief justices. And the lenders decided to do nothing. They said, all right, it's okay. Why don't you talk each other and just sort it out and help the poor guy?
Arnab, the presumption
that's what they did.
Not be upheld. And second, the arrest as of now, the question of necessity of arrest arises. Whether he is evasive, is he not answering to the regulator? If both things are taken care where he answers to the
No,
regulators.
the Enforcement
where he cooperates
Directorate
for
is
the
convinced
investigation.
of the case. Now the question is, if this had been a politician, by now the ED would have arrested him. I'm not
Arnab, there are
wrong.
many
Satya,
cases where ED
if
has
this
not
had been a
arrested, they have
politician
been-
by now, the ED would have arrested him.
Arnab, there
But
are
this
many
man's
cases.
name is Anil Ambani. And the government's not doing anything. The ED knows he's done a lot of wrong things, Subrashta. We got to be honest tonight. The smoking gun is out.
Arnab, the pervasive effect
Imagine this
of
was
the-
Vijay Mallya Congress
can
government. What
happen
would
in
what would the same people be doing?
I don't think a
think
collapse
that is
of
the
this
reason,
scale
Arnab. I
can
don't
happen
think
in
that is the reason.
isolation. In our financial system, lenders are not children. Somewhere, someone assessed the risks and said, just let it be. Let's go ahead.
Let me complete.
Somewhere,
Arnab.
someone
Arnab, there
saw
is
the
a
debts piling up and
law,
said,
let's
let's renew the credit.
regulatory framework. There is a prudential norms. You can't violate and provide a loan. There, at that point of time,
I'm sorry, this
whatever
case is very
whatever-
serious. Perception
I
matters.
don't know whether it was optimism, influence, pressure, or whatever you call it. Hard psychology.
The
or whatever.
money was siphoned off
Loans
from the
of this
PSU
magnitude
banks.
Cannot flow without conviction from the top. And this is where the buck needs to stop. This is where we need to fix
He needs to be
until
arrested.
the trial gets over, we can't say it is siphoned off, Arnab. That's my humble submission.
Well, during the Vijay Mallya scrutiny, your humble submission to you, Ved Jain is also with us. The ED found that Vijay Mallya and his two firms had diverted 3,700 crore bank loan to a UK-based F1 motorsport firm. In fact, I had led the expose on Vijay Mallya. We found he had a T20 IPL team. I took him on for enjoying private jet sorties. And in the preliminary report by the ED, they found that all that stood in violation of the loan terms.
Khud se lo.
In this case, it's a chance to make sure, Mr. Jain, that he does not fly out. I don't even know whether he has been declared, a person who's stopped from flying out of the country. What if he flies out tomorrow?
Mr. Arnab, I think let me put the facts. I think you have shared your reports, minutes, and made out a case. But I think you must look at the law. Lookout notice has already been issued in the month of July, I believe, and he can't fly yet out, and that's not possible what Vijay Mallya did. And why the question before you is the facts are already in public domain. And when the facts are in public domain, you have to look into the law, what is the criminal law, what provides the criminal law today. We have a CRPC section 41, which requires reasonable suspicion of a cognizable offense. As per the facts stated by you, it appears, yes, there may be a reasonable suspicion all right there. But then arrest is there only when the person committed money laundering may flee, tamper with evidence, or not comply with the summons. And that's the reason for on the ground on which the arrest can be done. And in the case
Was
of
Harshad
Anil
Mehta
Ambani-
arrested? Was Harshad Mehta arrested?
No, just look at the facts. In the case of Mr. Anil Ambani, he has appeared...
No, I'm asking you about the Harshad Mehta scam of 1992.
Yes, I know, yeah.
At
So
that-
in that case, Harshad Mehta, the allegation was that he was not cooperating. There
was
were
already issued
evidences
earlier, wasn't it?
of the cut. In this case, as you see, the evidences are going back to the year 2020.
My question to you, Ved, is this. Just a minute. See, this is a playbook. I know people may not like it. I know people in the ruling party may not like my asking these questions. I don't care. I don't care who cares what. For me, as a journalist, this reads like a playbook of corporate deceit, layered, interconnected, and disturbingly familiar. How could this go unnoticed for so long? If diversion and laundering of public funds raised by RHFL, Reliance Commercial Finance, it happens between 2017 and 2019. Yes Bank invests 2,965 crores in RHFL instruments, 2,045 crores in RCFL instruments. These turn into non-performing instruments miraculously by December 2019 very quickly, which means, whoa, they vanish.
No, Mr. Arnab,
They
you please
vanish.
try to
I
understand.
have full sympathy for failed businessmen. This is not a failed businessman.
No, question is it went unnoticed. That is why we are discussing it today.
No, but at that time, 1,353.5 crores remains outstanding for RHFL and 1,984 crores for RCFL. How did banks like Yes Bank justify continued exposure despite visible signs?
No, see, now...
No,
what we
nothing
are-
to see.
See, Mr. Arnab, what we are doing today is, in retrospect, we are trying to find out what went wrong.
Of course, I'm in retrospect trying to find out what went wrong, but I'm asking, how did the whole system know that something was going wrong and yet say, chalta hai? We were told the chalta hai attitude was over.
See, this is the prima facie case which we are trying to make out today. And
no, sir, we are not making it out today. If Shravan is here with us, he'll tell you the BDA report was dated October 15, 2020. That examined financial transactions from April 1st, 2013 to March 31st, 2017.
As you rightly said, in the minutes of the meeting held, these facts have been all deliberated, discussed.
Sushil, this is serious. This is serious, Sushil. Unmute yourself, Sushil. Come into the debate tonight with Santosh Mehrotra.
There's a very critical point on this that I want to bring to the House. You've laid it out very clearly. Everybody was involved. So there are two aspects to such a scam. The civil aspect of recovering the dues, and the other aspect is criminal punishment so that society has an example for non-recurrence. When everybody is involved and nobody is holier than Caesar's wife, those who are screaming it's a fraud.
Scholars, extend. Okay, Santosh Mehrotra. So Shravan has a breaking. Shravan.
Well, in fact, Arnab, the lenders were essentially aware that the money was being diverted to related entities. In fact, they were told in this particular meeting, point number 6, they admitted to the fact that there has been a diversion to group companies. It was evident, but they did not want to declare this account, RHFL account, as fraud because there was pressure. Multiple lenders ended up raising concerns about these diversions, which are fraud, which was basically signed by none other than Anil Ambani himself. In the second document that we have, in the memorandum that we have, the credit appraisal memorandum, there is a clear mention of the diversions.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. Satya is on the debate. Viewers, my first caller tonight. Remember, Srinivasan from Chennai. Srini. Let's get the callers in, everyone. Yeah, Srini. Hi, Srini.
Hi, Arnab. How are you?
I'm doing well, yeah.
In fact, I would like to make a statement that these scamsters are the people who basically are telling that the lawyers that if you are there, I am there. So if this 86,000 crore money which he has taken as loan will be part of their cut also, because these are the lawyers
Srini,
who are in the system.
No, absolutely. The problem is of the system. Sagar from Mumbai. Sagar.
Hi, Arnab. Thanks for taking this up.
Yeah.
You are voice for common man like us.
Thank you.
I lost my savings in Reliance Home Finance bonds.
Oh.
Anil Ambani manages to set up almost everyone, it seems. Auditor, rating agency, trustee, regulator SEBI as well. Auditor firms who does quarterly audit couldn't highlight the malpractice timely.
Wow.
Out of hundreds of quarters they audited, they couldn't find out one. Next, rating agency. They had rated RHFL bonds AA. If financial health of organization deteriorates, shouldn't the rating of the bonds also default?
No, Sagar, it's a whole system. Everybody is in it together. Sandeep from Karnal. Sandeep.
Yeah, hi, Arnab. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I think, hundreds and thousands of us are really suffering from this entire goddamn system of, shut your eyes, let the things keep working the way they are. I think it's a fantastic thing you picked it up. And, everybody who's getting involved in this should be put behind the
What do you
bar.
expect of the Modi government?
I expect Modi government to take legal action immediately, put him behind the bars.
You expect Modi government to put him behind bars. Voice of the people. Meenakshi Anand from Chennai. Meenakshi, this is going to become a big story. Hi, Meenakshi.
Hi, Arnab. See, this has been repeatedly happening with a lot of these industrialists doing this. And then they are just jumping the ship and running away from the country and finding their...
But what should Modi government do?
I think they should take legal action and put him behind bars.
Meenakshi, thank you. Modi government should take legal action and put Anil Ambani behind bars. Santosh Mehrotra, you're listening to this tonight. Any thoughts?
Yeah, indeed. I think taking action, putting him behind bars today is like saying, well, we're sort of bolting the stable after the horses fled.
Oh, he's not fled yet. He's not
Point
Vijay Mallya yet. He's here. We'd like to see him in jail. Dr. Pradeep Linge
I'm using. Come
from
on.
West Bengal.
You've studied in Oxford. You understand the meaning of the phrase.
I do. I was just speaking. I do completely.
Good evening, Arnab.
I do, sir. Yes, Dr. Linge.
When we clearly see that there is a diversion of funds and the person is being not taken any action on him, whereas there are so many.
Santosh Mehrotra, louder. Yeah.
Because the auditors were failing and the regulators were failing. Today, what action the government needs to do is to put many more strictures upon auditors of such companies. Point one.
I agree with you on the whole system. I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree with you on the whole system. I don't have a doubt with you on that. Yeah. Dr. Linge.
The second sentence was just pull up people in the RBI who were the regulators.
Yeah, Dr. Linge's last word, Dr. Mehrotra. Yeah, Dr. Linge.
Good evening, Arnab.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
When things are very clear that there's a diversion of funds and the whole money has been eroded. Okay, there are so many cases wherein genuinely people lose money, including myself. I've taken a loan of 12.5 crores from a bank. My whole project was busted because of floods, and now I am running behind the whole system. Bank is behind me, everybody is behind me.
We are fighting for you, Dr. Pradeep, because people like you who face all kinds of catastrophes and calamities, you have the system go after them. It is so ironical. I have the papers with me. I request everybody here to just understand what we are doing. The Modi government, the ED, should not make this just something to report. What we want to report is real action by the Modi government. The demand for Anil Ambani's arrest is growing and it's not going away. See you tomorrow night. Good night and goodbye.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड, मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी every day.
Some places feel like they've been waiting for you, where every piece speaks of legacy, from diamonds that celebrate ambition to festive gold that honors tradition. LD Sons.
In a shocking turn of events over the South China Sea, 2 US Navy planes crashed into the ocean during what should have been normal training on the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. The near simultaneous losses involved an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter and an F-18F Super Hornet. Both aircraft operate with highly integrated avionics that depend on accurate satellite navigation, data link connectivity to the carrier, and redundant onboard sensors during launch, recovery, and maritime patrol. In the South China Sea, China...
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
MDH की देगी मीरज,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च। पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Some places feel like they've been waiting for you, where every piece speaks of legacy, from diamonds that celebrate ambition to festive gold that honors tradition. LD Sons.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
India is all set to conduct a large-scale tri-services military exercise named Exercise Trishul along the western border near the disputed Sir Creek area. This exercise will involve the Army, Navy and Air Force and is being called unprecedented in both scale and operational complexity. Satellite images analyzed by defense experts show that the airspace reserved for the exercise will extend up to 28,000 feet. This is unusual for a routine military drill and indicates the seriousness with which India is approaching this operation. The exercise will run from October 30 to November 10. Under the umbrella of Exercise Trishul, India's armed forces are
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime, रहो बेफिक्र।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Some places feel like they've been waiting for you, where every piece speaks of legacy, from diamonds that celebrate ambition to festive gold that honors tradition. LD Sons.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
In a shocking turn of events over the South China Sea, 2 US Navy planes crashed into the ocean during what should have been normal training on the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. The near simultaneous losses involved an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter and an F-18F Super Hornet.
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the